What are you trying to do? You trying to eat a regular turkey, boring turkey right out the oven, looking at the top 5, 7 waiver wire pickups? No, that's not what we do here. I got 69 waiver wire pickups, at least, minimum, every single Tuesday. Get yourself a smoked turkey, get yourself a turducken, deep fry it, whatever. Step your game up. These are my waiver wire pickups for week 13. What's up, Couch fam? Let's dive right into the waivers. Last week was the last week of bye weeks. There are no more bye weeks, no bye weeks this week, no bye weeks for the rest of the season. There are actually some elite options to add off waivers this week. We should be very grateful. Not a big difference between the top 6 players at quarterback to stream this week. I did try to include schedules for the playoffs. Most people start playoffs week 14. Some do it week 15, some even do it week 13, but vast majority start fantasy playoffs week 14. And so like a guy like for example Jacoby Brissett, if he gets T.Y. Hilton healthy week 14, he faces the Bucks. That's an incredible matchup if you don't have that first round bye. Jared Goff, great streaming option this week against the Cardinals. I really do think he'll have a bounce back game. I'm not a big fan of Goff or anything, but the matchup is amazing. It's pretty much a guarantee that he'll have a decent game against Arizona. And just a little bonus is that it is a dome game and weather conditions are starting to get worse and worse as we approach December. This video is sponsored by monkeyknifefight.com. It's a super easy, simple way to play daily fantasy prop games such as over under, fantasy challenge, and my favorite, the touchdown dance, where you pick 3 players and if they score a touchdown, you get to dance. I love playing on here because it only takes about a minute to enter the contest that I want to enter, and I don't have to compete with like 10,000 other sharks. So head on over to monkeyknifefight.com, or better yet, follow the link below in the description and use promo code COUCH when you deposit. That way you'll get a 100% deposit match up to $50. Again, head on over to the link in the description and use promo code COUCH. Now back to the waivers. Nick Foles facing the Buccaneers, elite matchup, and then he's got some okay matchups after that. Not great. The Bucks this week is amazing. Sam Darnold has some great matchups, Bengals and then the Dolphins. Ryan Tannehill has actually been an elite quarterback as far as fantasy numbers are concerned since he's took over that starting role. Like really, like who is Marcus Mariota? We've all forgot about him. Ryan Tannehill is clearly better than Mariota, and Mariota's career is perhaps to an end, or at least dwindling. I'm sure he'll get a second chance on another team, maybe as a backup or something like that. But yeah, right now Ryan Tannehill, man, he's matchup proof. He has a very high floor. Ceiling's okay, really. I mean, he can get you 20 fantasy points every single game. And going against the Colts, run defense is okay. I like Darius Leonard, the Colts linebacker, but pass coverage, not that good. I do see Ryan Tannehill doing the same thing, giving you 20 fantasy points. And then the rest of his schedule is pretty good as well. Raiders week 14 and Texans week 15. Daniel Jones is pretty risky. I kind of compare him to Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is more so with the interceptions, and Daniel Jones more so with the fumbles. It's just kind of weird to compare Winston, who's basically a veteran, to a completely inexperienced rookie who's only had a handful of starts. But here we are, and the matchups are actually amazing. Daniel Jones, you can actually start for the next 4 or 5 weeks, going up against the Packers this week, then the Eagles, then the Dolphins, then Washington. You really can't asks for a better future schedule than the one Danny Dimes has. And of course, the Giants will have to throw the ball against all these teams, even the Dolphins. Like, that matters. Every quarterback has been elite against the Dolphins this year. Then we have Kyle Allen going against Washington. We talked about Jacoby Brissett. T.Y. Hilton, unsure if he's going to play. Eric Ebron is on IR. Marlon Mack's going to miss week 13, and I'm assuming he's going to miss week 14 as well. Then we have Andy Dalton. He's now the starting quarterback again. Has some great matchups, except that one against the Patriots. Mitch Trubisky, he's back. He's gone. He's back. He had a good matchup against the Giants. I did kind of see that coming. I did pick him in DFS. Wasn't bold enough to start him in season long or anything like that. But still some okay matchups, not the best. I'm not expecting the Bears to put up a lot of points in any of these games. I guess against the Chiefs, he has some upside. Lions defense isn't that great. Packers could be attacked. Yeah, we're really in deep league territory here. Devlin Hodges, Duck Hodges, has been named the starter for Week 13. And Drew Lock, we don't know if he's going to start or if it's going to be Brandon Allen yet. We'll see. I was very high on Jonathan Williams, but I was also very cautious about him as well. I wasn't as bold as I should have been, but sometimes the coaches get things right, and this time they got it right. You know how coaches be like sometimes. They're like, oh, we're going to still go running back by committee, or we're going to keep doing this or that. Like, it was clear that Jonathan Williams was the best back on the Colts, and they went with the hot hand. And Wilkins, I didn't even see him on the field Thursday night against the Texans. So Jonathan Williams is the clear-cut starter. I think the real question is he better than Mac? Don't know yet, but it's a legitimate question. I'm very curious to see what happens when Marlon Mack comes back. I think Jonathan Williams has at least earned a role. Will it be split 50-50? We'll wait and see. Marlon Mack has had some injury history. He's always missed games. And man, Jonathan Williams has been playing very, very well and should be owned in every single league. We just don't have a lot of running backs to add, so he's very valuable. And Chris Carson fumbled again. So he's got about 7.5 fumbles on the year. And this might be the last straw. Chris Carson might get benched. What's my guess? What do I think? I think they're going to still go back to Chris Carson. But then I wouldn't be surprised if they went with Penny. Maybe they go with a 50-50 split. There are legitimate questions. We don't know. Still, Rashad Penny, he's barely owned in any leagues. He needs to be owned in a lot of leagues now. You're going to pick him up. You're going to put him on your bench. It's okay. Don't worry about it. He's still worth an add. If anything were to happen to Chris Carson, or he gets benched, or he fumbles one more time, you're like, oh, I got, a pretty good running back on a really good team. You're going to be thanking yourself. He's definitely worth an add. And more so over Benny Snell, because it seems like Connor is not going to play Week 13. Beyond that, I don't know. But what's clear is that Snell is getting more carries than Jalen Samuels. Benny Snell did pretty well against the Bengals. He got 21 carries. Jalen Samuels only 2 carries, and Jalen Samuels can catch the ball well, but really he's not tough in between the tackles, and Benny Snell is that guy with James Conner not being there. What happens when I have a really tough time ranking players and they're on the same team? I just put that slash because, look, I don't know what's going on. Damian Williams is injured. LaShawn McCoy had a concussion, but is no longer in the concussion protocol. But on top of that, he sometimes rests, like how NBA players rest. And then you have Darrell Williams, who has actually balled out when he's given the opportunities. And so, look, I don't know what's going on here. We love Chiefs running backs when they do get 20 touches, but that never seems to be the case. So just wanted to go over that situation, and the Chiefs are playing the Raiders. Really good matchup and scenario as far as running backs go. Playing the Raiders, especially Chiefs running backs who can catch, who can run. They're explosive. They can score touchdowns, get big plays. Raiders have been okay against fantasy running backs, but don't let the stats fool you. These running backs can do extremely well against the Raiders. You just don't know which one's going to be getting the rock and which one's going to be healthy. At this point, Darrell Williams definitely healthy. LaShawn McCoy, he seems healthy. I don't think he'll be a healthy scratch like he was before, but we'll wait and see. Damian Williams is the one who's actually hurt. Then we have Gus Edwards in non-PPR leagues. Worth getting a handcuff, and even if you don't own these players like Zeke or Dalvin Cook, I think it's still worth adding some depth to your bench. Tony Pollard, Alexander Madison, Jay Ajayi. He's the guy seeming to get a good amount of the carries in between the tackles. They are facing the Dolphins. So if you're an Ajayi truther, just keep tabs on Jordan Howard, because he's going to have to be out for you to even consider starting Ajayi. Then we have Raheem Mostert if Matt Breida is out. I believe Matt Breida is going to return soon, if not this week. Also tough matchup against that Ravens defense. Then we have Malcolm Brown of the Rams in case Gurley gets tired going against the Cardinals. We know that Darrell Henderson hasn't really been used, and Malcolm Brown is the clear backup behind Gurley. Not a lot of good wide receivers, but you can still find, like, there's some legit wide receiver 3s and 4s available on waivers. So Cole Beasley, Randall Cobb. I like Randall Cobb because he's usually lined up against the weakest cornerback. Like, cornerbacks and DBs, they're always focused on stopping Cooper and then stopping Gallup. And so Randall Cobb has got several opportunities. He seems to get 7 catches per game minimum the last few games. He's doing extremely well, especially in PPR leagues. Then we have Russell Gage, and keep in mind Julio is banged up, but he's always banged up. My guess is he's going to be okay and play. But he is banged up. He's probably going to be questionable this week. Anthony Miller, Taylor Gabriel is in concussion protocol. I couldn't find anyone talking about this, but I mean, Player News says he has a concussion. It's just a bit of a mystery. I think just people are just not really wanting to cover Taylor Gabriel and the Bears, so not too much information about this, but just keep in mind that Taylor Gabriel might miss week 13, and the Bears do face the Lions on Thanksgiving, one of the 3 Thursday games. We also have Kenny Stills, Dorsett, and Sanu were out week 12, while N'Keal Harry caught a touchdown week 12, and Jacoby Myers was playing. So just keep tabs on these guys' health and the situation going on there. You can attack the Texans through the air. T.Y. Hilton maybe will play, maybe not. So Zach Pascal is a decent streaming option. John Ross is slated to return soon. He won't return week 13, but earliest he can return is week 14. Then we have Alan Hearns, Albert Wilson, Dante Johnson, and James Washington both get a boost if Juju can't go. So you can actually move them up on this list about 5 spots if we know Juju is out. Then we have Traquan Smith, Ted Ginn, and Kelvin Harmon. We have some elite options at tight end, and I would say the top 3 here are elite, and then number 4, 5, possibly 6, 7, even 8, if Delanie Walker's fully healthy, are pretty good. So there's a lot of really good options you can start, and you can even say Gerald Everett could be elite. Everett has a great matchup, lots of upside. He's just very inconsistent. The Rams sometimes use the tight end a lot this year, sometimes they don't. So anywhere from 0 to 20 fantasy points is very realistic for Gerald Everett. But Jack Doyle must add in every format. With Eric Ebron now for sure done for the year, he's on IR. He's pretty much been a bust this year, disappointment. And I'm not just talking about stats. Like, he just wasn't what he was the year before. He was the go-to guy. He was the touchdown guy. And this year, he's kind of back to the Ebron we saw in the Lions, maybe even worse. Pretty athletic. He was a high draft pick in real life in NFL, and just pretty much hasn't panned out, especially with no Andrew Luck there. Jack Doyle is the man. He's very reliable. He's very good. Jack Doyle is going to be the guy for the remainder of the year. You can use him in fantasy playoffs. You can use him this week. He's going to get a ton of snaps. He's going to get a good amount of targets. And if he's available on waivers or free agency, you should be very grateful. I'd even add him as a tight end too, because you never know with these tight ends. Lots of injuries, lots of inconsistencies. You just don't know what's going to happen. And Dallas Goedert, I got him here because of these sweet matchups. Dolphins, Giants, Washington. He should be owned pretty much in every league. And even if he didn't have these sweet matchups, you got to add him. He's a great high upside tight end too, high end tight end too. Ryan Griffin has a good matchup against the Bengals. He just got paid, and man, this guy's a borderline tight end one. It's crazy. Gerald Everett, we already talked about that. Cardinals allow the most points to tight ends in fantasy. Jimmy Graham, good matchups, and I do like him. Is it starting to dwindle off just a little bit here? No offense. David Njoku, I do expect him to return this week, but we shall see. Saw him practicing, looking good at practice last week, so I do expect him to return this week. Delaney Walker, he's been hurt. He's a bit older, bit on the older side of the age spectrum here, so let's see what happens. I thought he had a chance to play last week, but apparently not. Let's see what happens this week. Then we have Vance McDonald, Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith. I'd say Irv Smith is a more upside, more risk, and then Kyle Rudolph is safer, if I had to really separate those two Vikings tight ends. Mike Gesicki, tough matchup. He gets a lot of targets. Not really that great, though. Dawson Knox, Darren Fells, tough matchup against the Patriots. Tyler Eifert, Tyler Higbee, and Jordan Akins. Elite options at defense. The first two are super elite. Panthers and Eagles could be the top two highest scoring defenses this week easily. Absolutely love them. And what's so cool about the Eagles defense is that they're getting better. They've been playing aggressive. They got burnt. Their secondary has been horrible, but they do have the players. They have the coach. They've done this before, and they have a chance of winning the division. So they're hungry. They can do it. They can make playoffs. They just got to beat really beating the Cowboys. What week is that? Week 15 or 16 is going to be really important for them. They win that, they have a really, really good chance of making the playoffs. I think it'll come down to that game, whether the Cowboys or Eagles get in the postseason. Anyway, what are we talking about? Real NFL. We're talking about fantasy here. Eagles play the Dolphins. Start any defense playing the Dolphins is the best. And then they play the Giants. That's great. A lot of mistakes could be made. That's also a home game in Philadelphia. Washington, pretty similar. Got the rookie quarterback, Dwayne Haskins. Washington doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. So I love the Eagles defense this week, and I love them long-term as well. Definitely add the Eagles defense. This is what you want. You definitely want to add them. I definitely would start them, but even if you don't, it's good to just block your opponent from getting an elite defense like the Eagles. For some reason, you're not starting them. Panthers D going against Washington this week. And we'll have the Jets D. Great matchup. They actually put up a ton of points against the Raiders. Highest scoring fantasy defense. Week 12, crazy. Lions D going against the Bears should be a low scoring game. Bears are favored to win by a smidgen, but this could be the lowest scoring game of the week. They do play Thursday, by the way. And then we have the Chargers going against the Broncos, Packers going against the Giants. Packers, lots of upside with their defense going against turnover-prone quarterback in Danny Dimes. Also, Danny Dimes, though, has a lot of upside going against the Packers D. So it's a risky defense. You're going to be hoping for big plays and turnovers. They do have that upside. They have the chance of doing that. They have the Colts going against the Titans. Could be low scoring game. Vice versa. Titans going against the Colts. Titans get a slight boost if Hilton is out. We know that Ebron's out. We know that Mack is out. But they get a huge boost if T.Y. Hilton is out. And regardless, it seems like T.Y. Hilton's not going to be anywhere near 100%. So already start boosting the Titans D a little bit. You have the Cowboys D going against the Bills. Jags going against the Buccaneers. We already know turnover machine, Jameis Winston. What is he at? 21 interceptions this year? My God, that's crazy. It's like averaging 2 interceptions a game. He is nuts. And he still puts up good fantasy points. I still like Jameis Winston. He throws 300 yards every game. He's a baller, but definitely is prone to turning the ball over. Then we have the Chiefs defense going against the Raiders. Raiders probably won't light up the scoreboard. Also, Hunter Renfrow seems like he could be done for the year. Suffered a serious injury. I think it was a punctured lung, and I think maybe even another injury on top of that. Deeper leagues, we have the Texans going against the Patriots. I love the Texans D if the Patriots are banged up like they were. I have a feeling they're going to get more healthy, maybe get a guy like Dorsett back, possibly even Dorsett and Sanu, then the Texans might be screwed. But if they are injured, if both Dorsett and Sanu are out, that's going to help the Texans D a lot because their pass coverage isn't that good. Could be a low scoring game. I'd pretty much stay away if the Patriots are looking healthier, though. And then we have the Seahawks D going against the Vikings. Don't really like this at all. Adam Thielen is trending towards playing, and Jadeveon Clowney was out week 12. So really, I have them on this list. If Jadeveon Clowney is healthy and for some reason Adam Thielen doesn't play, I do like the Seahawks D. That's probably not going to happen, though. Then we have the Bengals going against the Jets. Both teams like to poop sometimes, and when you poop, you can slip and fall, and bad things might happen. I did pick the Bengals D in a couple DFS lineups last week, and it did work out because they were so cheap, and Duck Hodges ruined it all. The Bengals almost won that game. Jeez, if they didn't take out Mason Rudolph. For kickers, some elite options here. Well, really, I would say Jake Elliott is my elite option. High floor, high ceiling. Just make sure the weather is okay. And okay, let's talk about weather really quick. So when most people bring up the weather, I'd say 60% of the time they're wrong. They're like, oh, it's a weather, you know, are they going to run it? Or are they going to do this? It's, you know, it's raining, this and that. Don't pay too much attention to the weather. It's a case by case scenario. Like we saw the Patriots game, it obviously affected the game. Like it was very windy, like a lot of rain. It was like hard to see, but don't be afraid. If it's raining just a little bit, like don't be too worried. Like if it's raining a lot and there's a lot of wind, I'm talking like 16 miles an hour or stronger, then yeah, it's going to affect the quarterback. They're going to run more, they're going to pass shorter. But don't read too much into the weather. The times you really want to read into the weather is super, super strong winds. So 16 plus, 20 plus winds, that's crazy. It's going to affect the game a lot. So strong winds and extreme weather conditions like a blizzard or just incredible, like when it's raining the most out of the entire season. So games like that. So just keep tabs and keep that in mind. But I'm just saying most people read too much into the weather. So I'll put it like that, and I'm not, you know, trying to warn you guys that weather does affect it, but not as much as most people think. So Jake Elliott going against the Dolphins, #1 kicker easily. Joey Sly, very good kicker. His accuracy actually isn't that bad, but he's just inconsistent. He seems to miss a bunch of kicks all of a sudden or miss easy kicks, and it's just kind of tough, and maybe it's because he's a rookie or whatnot, but this matchup is incredible, and so I really do like him. I actually had him ranked a little bit lower, but I was like, look, if he's on it this game, this could be a huge fantasy game for Joey Sly, like 11 fantasy points, 12 fantasy points, something like that. If the weather is not too bad, I love Mason Crosby going against the Giants. And now we're starting to dwindle a little bit. So I really like Jake Elliott. Joey Sly, I don't trust him too much, but if he is accurate week 13, I love him. I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities. He just has to make them. And then, yeah, Mason Crosby, absolutely love him. Depending on the weather. If the weather is good or half decent, Mason Crosby is going to be elite. And then Badgley, Jason Myers, Brett Maher, Nick Folk, Dan Bailey, Josh Lambo, keep tabs on the win. He should have a good game against the Buccaneers as long as the weather is not too bad. And then super deep leagues, we got Sam Ficken, Yunwei Koo, Matt Gay, Ryan Suckup, Zane Gonzalez, and Robbie Gould has been injured, so just keep tabs on that. This is not the game you want to add him or anything, but I do have him in one league in my IR spot, which doesn't really do much. Make sure you guys do follow the link below in the description. Head on over to Monkey Knife Fight. Use promo code COUCH. It really helps support this channel, and it's a lot of fun. I wish you guys all good luck this week. Make sure you subscribe to both YouTube channels, Fantasy Couch and Fantasy Couch Podcast. Hit this video with a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thumbs down if you did not. Happy Turkey Day, everyone. Peace.